Welcome back. This is episode 53 of my podcast. If you're new, my name is Coach Press. I'm a football coach and a self proclaimed blue belt philosopher. Here we talk about sports, talk about football, MMA. To be fair, lately it's been MMA mostly, but it is what it is. It's fine. It's still sports. And we talk about everything else: books, philosophy, life, science, obviously to the best of our abilities. Okay, we have to be honest. For those that don't know, normally we need what 5-10 minutes to get going. I don't know why I keep saying we, it's me. I need 5 or 10 minutes to get going. And then it's a lot more dynamic. But as a general rule, we start with sports topics and then we move into everything else. That's just a heavy generalization. Okay. Um, that being said, yeah, today there's it's a Tuesday night, no UFC to watch, no UFC coming this Saturday. Okay, we have a couple of weeks break from the UFC, which is sad. But then again, it is what it is. It is what it is. It's time to read books. It's time to read books. And get ready for the next big event, which is Dricus du Plessis versus Chimaev. Okay, but I'm not going to talk about this today because it's too far away from now. What I can say is that tomorrow I'm finally gonna go to my first Muay Thai class. Still been hitting pads, but I'm gonna go to my first Muay Thai class for. I haven't been to one for I don't know, a couple of months. I have not been able to train as much as I want to, so I'm looking forward to this. But what we're gonna talk about today, among many things, is still waiting for the Red Bull sponsorship. Yeah, it is coming one day. It will come. What we're going to talk about today is I actually had a question about what I think about a book. Okay, what do I think about a certain book? And the book is The Courage to Be Disliked. Now I haven't read this book yet. I'll make sure to read it for next week. You know, just to see what's happening. I've got my laptop in front of me because I checked roughly what is it about. I can already, after a certain point when you read books, you kind of know what you're getting with each book, which makes it a bit more boring. It's less exciting now. I don't really get excited about books the way I used to before, when everything was kind of, almost everything you read is new. But when you, at a certain level, at a certain point, you get to a place where almost nothing you read is new. And this kind of takes away your motivation to read because you're still putting in the time, but what you're getting out is not the same. In the beginning, it's like the return on investment is crazy. Everything you read is like, oh my God, boom, boom, boom. And then the more and more you read, the more and more you keep going, the return on investment starts going down, 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 down. Because inevitably, from each new book that you read, because if you're already growing existing knowledge, less and less is going to be new to you with every next book. So that being said, I was asked about the courage to be disliked. Now, straight away, why I haven't read this book is because the title is a bit too much on the nose. It's too clickbaity to me. Okay, one thing that you learn pretty quickly is titles are deceiving a lot of the time. I've read books with titles that are so appealing and attractive. Oh my god, oh my god. And then you read the book and it's that's such a letdown. It's so disappointing. Why did I waste my time reading this? Oh my god. The Art of War. We all know that book. Sun Tzu, the ancient Chinese philosopher. He can be considered a philosopher and a military strategist. Cool name, isn't it? Good book, of course. And then after that, I don't know if you guys have heard of this. There is a book that is more a contemporary book. I don't know how old it is. I don't remember. It's after the year 2000, which is called The War of Art. That's an example of clickbaity title. Was it good? No. It was boring. I can run off some names that you'll be surprised by. Let me just try and open my account on Goodreads. I don't know. Do you know if you know that social media platform? Goodreads is basically like a social media specifically for books. Let me try and sign in. I'll give you another example. Surrounded by idiots. Guess who bought it? The biggest idiot. Yes, that sounds good. But inside, yeah, I knew it's not going to be good. And it ended up being the most general, boring crap I've ever read. It's probably top 5 worst books that I've read. It's just, I'm reading it. I'm like, why am I wasting time reading this? This is rubbish. That's not telling me anything. Categorize people into 4 groups. That was basically it. Basically, sign in. I have an account. I guess I do. I don't know. Let's see. Continue. What? What's happening? Why can I not log in? Sign in with email. There you go. Boom. Let's see. I should be in now. I'll be adding. Oh yes, I'm in. I'll be adding books to my. I'll be updating my profile in a sec. Let's see. Let's see now. I'll give you some titles. This podcast is probably going to be mainly about books then, because I've actually now in August when I'm not working with Chelsea, we're off for a bit for August. And I'm off with my other team. I actually have a bit more time to get back on the books because I have my mind is a bit more free. Space has been freed up, so I'll be able to actually catch up on my reading. I've still been reading, but not as much as I want to. It should be more. Problem is, I've gotten to a point where in any direction that I decide to go with my reading, I've basically reached a point where I'm not an expert in any way, shape, or form, but I'm at this stage here where to progress, I really need to put my mind into it. I really need to focus and read something that is probably going to be very technical and complex, and it's not just something that you can just kind of listen to casually or read casually. Just yeah, let's go and just pick it up more or less effortlessly. That's not available anymore. If I want to read something philosophical, guess what's left for me? I've read most of Plato. I've read a lot of Aristotle. Not most, but it's, again, return on investment. I've read most of Nietzsche, and it's tough. I've read Seneca, um, Marcus Aurelius, obviously, Cicero. So I've read the bulk of, not the bulk, but the foundational pieces of work of the Stoics, the ancient Greeks, and Nietzsche, which is, I'm not really sure what he's considered. And I've read a couple of books about the history of philosophy, which gives me like an idea, an overall idea and shape of, you know, all types of, basically the timeline, structure, and order, the history of thought. Yeah. And I've obviously read Zen texts that give me solid understanding. I've read a couple of texts about religion that give me again solid understanding. And I've read quite a bit of science that again gives me a solid understanding. And now, in any direction that I want to continue, whether it's religion or more like Zen stuff, Buddhist, or science, or if I want to go into a different, just continue filling in the gaps in my knowledge of philosophy, it gets very heavy. It's very hectic. Everything is dense now. What can I read about physics? I've probably read close to 10 books now. And a couple of them are like, I'm listening to this and it's like, Jesus, that's literally only quantum physics. I'm listening to it and it's so dense. Planck's constant, this, that. The cool thing was, after all these physics books, though, was when I watched Oppenheimer, I knew every physicist in the movie. I was like, oh, I know this guy. Oh, Heisenberg. Oh, yeah. I know him. Not Heisenberg. What did I say? Heisenberg. Is he Heisenberg? Hey, imagine if I get confused with the guy from Breaking Bad. One sec. He is Heisenberg. Werner Karl Heisenberg. Uncertainty principle. Fuck it. Let's read it. Let's read it. I know it. Oh yeah. There you go. 10 books. Pays off. The Heisenberg uncertainty principle, a cornerstone of quantum mechanics, states that there is a fundamental limit to the precision with which certain pairs of physical properties, certain pairs of physical properties of a particle, like position and momentum, can be known simultaneously. Okay. So I know this because I've listened to this so many times that I actually know it. Basically, I'm pretty sure this is so there is a fundamental limit to the precision with which certain pairs of physical properties of a particle, like position and momentum, can be known simultaneously. What this means is, in quantum physics, I'm such a fucking idiot. Why am I talking about this? Anyway, I might come across as a very arrogant prick, which is fine. But I'll try and explain something about quantum physics on this channel, where I've been talking about MMA and how Sharp Bullet is a retard. Sorry about that, yeah? Just bear with me. It's simple. I'm just refreshing my memory. So basically, this Heisenberg uncertainty principle, while we're at it, is when obviously you have to measure stuff in physics, and you know that there is measuring to fucking go to space. Imagine all that engineering and measuring and all that stuff. You have to be very accurate, very accurate. All these computers, chips, stuff like that. The accuracy is insane. Okay, you can measure, you can count how many electrons and protons and neutrons and all that particles. Yeah, you can basically count them. You can see them, observe them, but at a certain subatomic level. Okay, so the when you get to electrons, okay, and in this area roughly, you run into a problem. You can't really measure, you can't properly pin down the electron to the utmost precision, if that makes sense, because the more you try to be concrete with your location, the location of the electron, obviously you're using what you're observing the electron in a certain environment, like using, there is light getting to it. The moment you have light getting to the electron, that's gonna affect the fucking, what is it called, the charge and the spin and all of that stuff of the electron, which is gonna affect its location or movement, if that makes sense. So basically, if you want to pin down the movement, you lose on the location, on the accuracy of the location. And if you want to pin down on the location, then you can't really, you can't know which way the electron is moving. That's why they say, what is it, is in a super, what was it called, super state. Okay, which basically the electron can exist in two simultaneous states. Fucking hell, this is too technical and I don't even know what I'm talking about. Okay, I roughly know what I'm talking about. Maybe I sound smart to people that have no idea what I'm talking about, and I'm just throwing out words. Super state. I'm in a super state. Anyway, back to the books. I was talking about. I'll just give me a second just to boost my super state. Okay, I was talking about how it is pointless reading dumb books, and how titles can, don't judge a book by its cover, guys. I don't know if you ever heard this, but let's see what books I've read lately. Done. 'Cause there's books. Last book that I've got on Goodreads, I haven't updated it. How to Get Rich. Again, clickbaity title. It was okay. The guy was annoying. The guy was annoying. Some British guy is trying to be funny the whole time, trying to mix in humor. I don't need it, bro. Okay? I need something smart. Again, I run into the same problem because I've read so much. So much. I've read so many. Yeah, we need your book recommendations part two. What? Okay, I'll give you a book recommendations. Just tell me what genre. Again, I think you asked me last time, and I told you Marcus Aurelius meditation, didn't I? And earlier I said, um, yeah, regardless, I was asked about what do I think about the book, The Courage to Be Disliked. Okay, now I'm gonna actually answer because it's been 20 minutes and I asked many times. So I remember. The Courage to Be Disliked. My general thoughts, I haven't read it, I'll read it for next week. Next week, yes, start of the podcast, I'll give you my review. But I already know my review. My review is going to be, I'll say, it's a 5 out of 10. But you know why? I need to give you, every book review is subjective. I found myself, the more I read books, in the beginning, the books that I read in the beginning, where my general, like overall, total knowledge is small. when I read a book and I'm like, oh my god, mind blown. Oh, wow, that was such a great book. 9.5 out of 10. Okay. And then I keep reading, keep reading, keep reading. 50 books later, I read a book that looking backwards, I'm like, that book number 52 and book number 2 are pretty similar. They say the same things pretty much. They're quite similar. But I rate book 52, I rate it as a 7.3. Why? Because my mind is not blown anymore. I'm like, yeah, I've heard about this. Yeah, I knew this. Yeah, it's a good book. Yeah, I guess. And this continues happening, and my standards keep going up and up and up because my knowledge grows. So now on book 252, I read the book and I'm like, literally in the whole book, I remember a single sentence because everything else was like, yeah, nothing. Marcus Aurelius was pretty good. I've read 48 Laws of Power. It wasn't as I expected, to be honest. 48 Laws of Power. Yeah, Marcus Aurelius is good. I don't know about you, but I think in general, and for the majority of people, it gives you like peace. It gives you a calm. It helps you and it introduces to you the idea of accepting things that are out of your control and worrying about things that are in your control, and just starting to really make that separation between in my control, out of my control. Worry about this, don't worry about that. I think this is the most important thing that you take from the book. Well, the 48 Laws of Power, I've never actually finished it because I got to, I don't know what law, and it was too historical for me. The examples were, I need to hear a story now. And it's just that it wasn't my cup of tea. I've read it was all right. When I started it, because it was again one of the first books I read, I was like, oh my god, that book is so good. This is so good. And then now looking back, I'm like, I guess. Yeah, and historical and too over. It is overhyped. That's what I'm talking about, though. Clickbaity titles, 48 Laws of Power. Whoa, whoa. It's like, as I said earlier, when I was still alone in this podcast live stream, I said, I read a book called Surrounded by Idiots. You read the title and oh my god, oh that's such a great title. Oh my, oh wow. Then I read it and I realized I'm the idiot for reading this fucking stupid book. Wasted my time. They got me with a fucking title. And I was pissed off at myself. Another book. Listen to this. I read this, I think, beginning of this year. I would like to read one for the mind and psychology, like some real deep stuff about humans. Oh, okay. About the mind and psychology. What has changed my thoughts about the mind and about humans? Let me think about this. Beautiful, man. Per page. I need more per page, mate. Infinite scroll. Let's see. All right. Give me a couple of minutes to think about, and I'll tell you something that. Oh, I know one. Read. Um, Viktor Frankl. What was it called? Basically, meaning of life. Fuck, was it called? How can I forget Viktor Frankl? Man's Search for Meaning. That book, if it doesn't blow your mind, at least it will. It will. There is no at least. It will. I'm telling you. If you think Marcus Aurelius' book is good, this one is like, wow. That book is really good. Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. I had it, but I gave it to someone. Let me show you. It's this. It's fucking mirror. It's mirrored anyway. Man's Search for Meaning. Outstanding. It's a great book, especially when you're kind of starting out. Okay. That being said, let me just go back to some titles. Listen to this, what I've read in the beginning of this year. Another clickbaity title that got me. And it was absolutely like, was a bit, oh. Clickbait, violence of mind, training and preparation for extreme violence. Sounds so tough. Yeah, violence of mind. And then you read it and the title was the best thing about the book. I guess it was alright. It was really reinforced the idea of there are some people that are just violent, okay? And your readiness and how prepared you are for violence, and obviously brutal how brutal you're prepared to be, and how much you're ready to escalate any given situation. That's the most important thing. It's not like your fighting skill or whatever else, which was actually good. That is true, but that was basically it from the whole book. That's all. So essentially, what I take from it is do not start arguments or problems unless you're prepared to kill someone. Because I'm a bit of a. I didn't think to get scammed over books. Yeah. Yeah, you can get scammed. Not scammed, you just wasted your time, I guess. To a certain. Again, remember, I'm saying this now. I've been reading a lot of books for a long time. By the time you get here, you've already earned so much from all the books that you've read. They've helped you so much already. Your investment has been fucking has made you so much money, and not just money, has made you so rich in general that like a couple of misses is it's not a big deal. But what I'm saying, what I've been talking about books is because I was asked the courage to be disliked. Another clickbait title. And I still haven't fucking answered 30 minutes in. I'm wasting time. I'll answer now. No. My opinion is don't read it unless. Right, I guess it's okay to read if it's like the only book you've ever read. You read it, yeah, that's fine. But as soon, yeah, as you read a single chapter of Plato, Aristotle, or someone, or some of the classics that deal with similar stuff, because the courage to be disliked, what are they gonna be talking about? Essentially, like a broad generalization is they're gonna be talking about what? About living a good life or something along these lines. Okay, when it comes to basically living your life, how to live your life, basics, go to the classics, Plato, Aristotle, and the Stoics. Yeah, stick to the basics. Boom, boom, boom. Why would I read The Courage to be Disliked, some fucking random book from now that has the most clickbait title of all? It's in the competition, definitely. The Courage to be Disliked. Yeah, that's fucking that. Yeah, it's probably like a magnet for all delusional girls out there. Problem is, it's not for girls, but it is what it is. It's fine. Read Plato, read Aristotle. Contrary to popular belief, they're not difficult to read. Yeah, and the things they say are so profound and true. 2,300 years later, that it's just great. It is. Look at this. There's Cicero, Plato, Plato, Aristotle, and then I keep going here. Look at this. Plato, Plato, Aristotle. Then we've got René Descartes, Thomas More, Immanuel Kant. I haven't finished this. Cicero, Plato. We can keep going. I've got more over there. But it's just, see how many of them are just basically the same authors. Start with the basics. That's why I haven't read The Courage to Be Disliked. Not because at one point, yeah, it was popping up on my TikTok every 3 scrolls. I was bombarded with the courage to be disliked. Okay, mate. And even when I briefly I asked ChatGPT to give me a brief overview, and it said it has a Plato-esque style. The book it's a dialogue between some youngster and like a philosopher or something. Come on, you know what? You know whose books are that way? Plato, and you know who? Plato, yeah, all his books are basically dialogues between Socrates, Plato's teacher, and one of the greatest philosophers of all time, the OG philosopher, and some random people in Athens. It's simple, it's dialogues. And Socrates is just picking them apart with questions. Boom, 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 while still being humble. The problem with these books nowadays, some of them are not very humble in nature. They talk to you as if they figured everything out, which is not the case, especially when you compare them to the classics. The humility that they're written with, Plato, Aristotle, and then the Stoics as well, Marcus Aurelius, Cicero, Seneca, all these guys. They're so humble in the way they speak and write. These new gen books are a bit, some of them are a bit dishonest. They come across very confident because they're talking, they know the target demographic. They know, well, probably the people that are gonna read this book, yeah, probably don't read, probably don't really read that many books, so they wouldn't know that we're being dishonest, if that makes sense. Not dishonest in a bad way, just dishonest about the extent to which the things you say are true. You're preaching something. What we say, yeah, live your life this way, that way, that's why, because of this, because of that. Instead of when you're honest intellectually and you're a bit more humble with your takes, with your opinions, the way people in the past were. And but that's just something to do with just scientific, the scientific field in general. There is a lot of dishonesty going on, but it is what it is. I guess this is part of humanity. Let me give you a couple more clickbaity titles that I've fallen for. YouTube from manual, that's not bad. Blah blah blah. Um, um, Not bad for me. I'll read some titles in the order that I've read them. Obviously, I've stopped updating in March. So before March, the Confessions of an Economic Hitman, that's a bit of a conspiracy, almost theory. Almost. It was a fun book to read. Science fictions, this was good. This was exactly about people not being honest in science. Scientists that are not being honest and that are kind of ruining science, getting in the way of scientific progress. Because they're retards, idiots that cheat and want to push their own agenda. Anyway, before that, Elon Musk, the new book, the Daily Laws by Robert Greene. That's the guy of 48 Laws of Power. Yeah. Balance of mind, range, why generalist triumph in a world, in a specialized world. That's a good one. Black box thinking, blah, 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 blah. I need to scroll quite a bit to find a clickbaity title. That was really good. Seneca, How to Die. That was a really good book. An ancient guide to the end of life. Oh, what a book that was. That was so good. You know when you read a book and I've only ever read a couple of books that completely put me from one state of mind to another one, like completely. They take you out of whatever you're in. I'm not saying that was like way off, way out of line and like all over the place mentally. No, I was all right. I've been very measured and stoic and cold, calculated, calm, peaceful, whatever you want to call. Basically, this for years now, for a very long time. I don't have attitude problems, and I don't have an impulsive reactions. I'm not an impulsive person. Okay, and but this book and a couple of others, I just remember literally when you look back, think about how you were, let's say 2 years ago. When you think about your past, when you think about your life, and you kind of remember, yeah, back then this was happening. I remember feeling this way or that way. Imagine, yeah, these books. There's been a couple of books that when I've read, I literally remember that period of time in a different way just because of the book I read. Because probably like a feeling of peace or of calm or